Hi, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, the folks that produce Builder Innovator. I'm excited today to be with David Lynch, who's the VP of Revenue for OpenHouse.ai. David's also one of the founders of the company, and we thought he would be a great part of this mini series that we've put together. The way I characterize it is it's kind of about these macro applications that straddle information spheres that are often discrete and not communicating together. And through that integration, they create new value and new information and analytics. We've got 4 of these that we've put together, and we're really basically looking for David to give us an overview of the platform and some of the early successes they've had working with builders. And at any rate, welcome to the webcast, and I'm going to turn it over to you to walk us through what you've been up to.
Thank you, John. Yeah, well, I got married, so that was one thing I've been up to. I was away to 2 weeks, which was fantastic, but it's good to be back in the driver's seat. We've had a lot of really exciting things going on here at Open House, having recently closed our Series A funding round. There's been a lot of different changes and a lot of product development in very exciting directions that I'll get into today. But I think it's important to remind the room where we kind of came from. As a reminder, Open House was founded a couple of years ago by the CEO of Open House, Will Zhang. And all he wanted to do was take his quantitative experience from investment banking, from telecoms, and see how he could change things for home builders. One of the challenges in home building today is if we look at kind of our areas we focus on, data, like you mentioned, is very segregated. It's broken up into lots of siloed spaces. You know, marketing, sales have their kind of data sets. If it's CRM, if it's your GA4, if it's also your agencies and the dashboards and the data they give you, then you kind of get into pre-con, construction. You have your ERP, but then you'll also have your partners and your technology vendors and all those different companies that you work with that also give you different dashboards. The challenge with that is nothing speaks to each other. To really change the production builder landscape, and hopefully one day the kind of custom home builder landscape, you have to have all of the data talking to each other. So this kind of gives you an idea of the problems that we're looking at today. If you think about, we have a sales forecasting tool at Open House, and today, generally speaking, before Open House, forecasts miss the mark. So sales teams, marketing teams are often reacting. They're responding to potentially a shift and a change that has already happened. We also work on getting the right price at the right time for home builders, which we'll get into. And then finally, you've got financial forecasts. And traditionally, they're done by lots of people. And the problem with that is those people could be doing very valuable things for the business, not just, building a real-time cash flow, or not just building a real-time financial forecast, whatever it is you're looking at. Our big opinion here at Open House is, which I put here, builders don't need more data, they need clarity on how they can act. The market has never really been more uncertain than it is today. Intention of the customer has never been more unclear unless you're buying a set of headphones. And that's a good thing because it asks home builders to challenge themselves and kind of look beyond what they're used to doing. It looks beyond the gut. It asks them to go that one step further. I want to talk a little bit to who we are. Specifically, what we're talking about today is OpenPredict. And OpenPredict is broken into 3 big parts, John. Sales forecasting, so we're telling you where your sales are going and why they're going that way. Price position, which is essentially telling you where your home is priced in a market against all your competitors, against all the homes that's sold, and how much of that market you can actually capture in real time. And we're also giving you a sales acceleration index to tell you, hey, if you move your price by this much, you have a likelihood of X of capturing more of that market as well. And that last piece is financial foresight, which is to say, we're now running scenarios. So they can actually run, should I build this much spec or this much pre-sale? When do I think I'll need capital based on how quickly these homes are going in the ground or how quickly they're going to sell? It's a lot of these different things that are often very hard to see because it goes back to my original argument. Data is so siloed.
Yeah, I would think that price position piece is extremely appealing in this market because we've had such massive appreciation of the resale home market. It's just kind of changed the competitive position for the new construction side of things. We have price parity or better on a per square foot basis these days. Then you've got builders playing with buy downs of the mortgage rates to affect the psychology of the selling. So that's certainly a rich stew for you guys to be in the middle of here with your analytics.
You can't really discern if price is a problem unless you've got something to do that for you. And the beauty is we're discerning whether price is a problem or whether it's not a problem. The relief in finding out it's often not a problem is great because you know where to focus your efforts. Like, it's a fantastic feeling when you get everybody in sales and marketing behind the decision that, okay, we now know from a data standpoint, price isn't an issue here. We've got to change our positioning. So I'll get into that. What I want to do quickly though, John, is, and I'm not sure if I showed this on the last call with you, this one here is kind of a great example of a sales forecast. So I want to show you what that looks like. This is a very simple or rudimentary example of a sales forecast. What I'm not showing you today are the indicators. So the indicators are the things we give you that says it's going up, it's going down, and why. Every time you get this report, John, if you're Galante builders, you're going to get essentially the month prior, and you're going to get the month going forward. So you're going to see 3 months into the future, but you're also going to be able to look at your previous forecast. You're also going to get an exec summary. And in that exec summary, which is really where we spend most of our time with our home builders, we give you what's working, what's not working, and what your focus should be. This is a great example of a home builder that was coming into December. And this home builder in particular, Miranda Homes, told us, they were quite confident of their sales and the spring market to come. So you can imagine when they saw this picture, they weren't very happy. It was flat. It wasn't engaging. It wasn't going anywhere. What we were able to tell them, John, was what was working, that was keeping it flat, what wasn't working, that was pulling it down, and where the focus should be. So, these are the leading indicators, which we won't get into, but the leading indicators are really the drivers of this report. In data science, they're known as features. And if you take a look from December through to February, Miranda were able to move their forecasted outcome from 29 homes a month to 37 homes a month. But the fact that we were so ahead of the game and we were able to see 3 months out into the future how flat it was going to be going into February, that's what allowed us to kind of take control of our future. That allowed me, as the SVP of Innovation, this is speaking from the Miranda team, to go to my marketing team to focus on the certain areas that we needed to reset, that we needed to shake up and change. And that's everything from AdWords, John, to media spend and where it's going and how much is going where it's going. A couple of months later, we were able to see this massive development over time, right? So you can see it went from 29, 37 to 39 homes.
You were able to look at specific sales and marketing techniques or process steps and understand where the drag was and where there could be improvement to lift that.
That's correct. If we come back though here, John, answering your point, what happens is our AI is selecting the driving factors, not us, right? So what's happening is it's going in and it's looking at, using a weighting system, the marketing metrics within your GA4 data, within your CRM data, your sales metrics. And what it's doing is it's pinpointing exactly the driving data points. So it might say, okay, I'm going to look at rate of change, so the acceleration or deceleration of a metric over 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8. Oh, there it is, 8 days. That is something that we should be looking at. So it's doing this all the time, thousands of runs all the time.
It's looking at significant variances.
That's
one of the actionable data. Okay.
The actionable prescriptive area of pain or opportunity. That's what's really important. So it's literally, we had a home builder yesterday ask us, what didn't show up in their report was some engagement metrics. And this home builder asked us, the marketing manager asked us, hey, I just wonder, why is it you guys don't select for, engagement by GA4? And we answered, well, first of all, we don't select anything, our AI does. But secondly, the engagement metrics that you often get on GA4 is data that's consolidated to make kind of like a happy score or an engagement score or a feeling score. What our AI does is it goes deeper into the more root condition data to pull out information that's more valuable to you. And that's what it does here. And so on a monthly basis, the wild thing, John, is the metrics change. Those leading indicators I told you about, December 12th, there were one set of leading indicators, but in February, they were a totally different set. What it means is our sales forecast, John, is telling you where to focus your efforts. And when you have solved for those problems, it's then telling you to focus on this next problem here. It's prioritizing and prescribing the areas of opportunity or pain versus you having to go and figure out and guess where might my trouble be. Does that make sense?
And yeah, it does. And what are you tapping into? What are the sources of information? I mean, are there specific platforms?
It's really easy. All we do is we take your historical sales, your firm sales dates from the last 4 years, which every builder will have. We take your CRM data. We take your GA4 data, which is a very simple tap. It's just an API call. And that's it. That's all we need to build this forecast for you, because we also have built our own proprietary AI technology. We've collected profiles over the last 6 years. So we have what we need, and that's our own IP. And we can go and produce not only this sales forecast, but the driving factors behind it. What I want to do now is talk about price position. So price position is pretty simple. Today, when we're thinking about price, we use a lot of, I would say, macroeconomic reports to discern where a region or a market might be going. And that's fantastic. The challenge with that is it doesn't speak to the homes you're selling and building. So you get these huge reports from the big names out there, but they're not really speaking to maybe the home that you built. So when you're down to a community with 2 homes left and you're trying to move them. And so what we're able to do here is we're able to pinpoint whether price is a lever or not. So I've got 2 examples for you here where price is and is not a lever. I want to give you the context. So price sensitivity was high. Miranda homes were priced above historical averages. This is what we found. So what we recommended was a 20 to 30K adjustment. And then Miranda were able to reduce their price, right, by removing embedded options and trimming margin. Okay. The challenge is often you're told just drop your price a little bit. You might drop it by 5, by 10, and you're sort of slowly, John, creeping down. But if you're given a more prescriptive price drop, now you start to think more strategically about that pre-sale home. Okay, well, what can I strip out of it? And what was amazing was they were actually able to make more margin in the end because they were able to strip out a lot of stuff that people didn't need. Now, the results was one of their stronger months of sales of that year. And they were able to also show how precise pricing adjustments can expand the buyer pool. And this is what I'm talking about here, John. I'm not saying that, it's as simple as drop your price and you'll get more sales. If you take the market in any area as a whole, and you say a market is 100%, and 1% buy $20 million homes and 3% buy $5 million homes, and then it goes down to a sliding scale, right? That makes sense to you?
Sure.
What we're saying here is you live somewhere on that curve. And you only have so much access to buyers based on where you live on that curve. So what we're telling you really is, based on your home, it might be a case where you could actually increase your price and bring yourself into another market segment. It might be a case where you're decreasing or where you're staying the same. In this instance, it was decreasing. So this is a price response curve, and it's showing you where they live. And then basically down here, which I've removed, you've got margin. And you've got a number of homes. So now you're able to make a decision whether you want to move on price or not. And obviously with us, you get your monthly meeting. So we have a monthly meet with the division presidents at Miranda, where we're actually working with the local division presidents to discern what that best step should be. So we recommended this number switch, which they decided to go with. And then finally, over here, you've basically a comparative market analysis. So I'm also able to show you kind of what homes have sold in that region, what the average price is in that region, what your price is in that region, what your margin is, what the average home looks like. All that data I'm giving you so you know very clearly we're comparing you as correctly as possible, and we're telling you where you might be missing out. So the next one is the other way. Price position confirmed price wasn't the problem, right? So this is what's fantastic, I think, coming from a sales and marketing background. I like knowing that something isn't an issue. But if you put yourself in the shoes of a marketing manager or a sales leader or just a marketing leader, and you're sitting around that table with your executive leadership, your gut is telling you that price is a problem and we need to have that conversation, but no one's willing to talk about it. This is the beauty of our price position. It kind of puts sort of a line in the sand, removes the gut and said, yes, price is a problem. Now can we get on and get back to work? In this instance, it's the other side. It's saying, hey, price isn't a problem. We need to go focus on the other efforts. So this is a visual to give you like the idea of where you live on the curve. So it's more saying that you have plenty of available buyers in your market today. So price shouldn't be an issue. So here, I've said sales were behind target. Price position showed the community was correctly priced relative to the market. So now you can maintain price, maintain margin, margin, but instead shift your focus to sales execution and training improvements. So results, performance recovered without discounting. So that's very powerful. Validated that pricing was not a constraint. So when price isn't the lever, focus drives results. That's one of the things we're really excited about at Open House is we're really spending that time helping home builders discern where their focus should be. Like it's all about prescriptive technology, not descriptive. Because for years, we've all lived in the world of let's give you as much data as possible to look at. But actually, it's not conducive to focus because you just have to be so intelligent and so focused as a human to be able to extract the right discerning decisions. But I'm not perfect. We're all not perfect. And this is allowing you just to focus on what matters most, right? So now financial forecasting, really the big picture here is you're going from disconnected spreadsheets, manual updates, and delayed visibility. A good example of delayed visibility is that operations leader walking into the CFO or the financial controller's office just as a cash flow forecast has been sent to the CEO, and they've said, actually, I forgot to tell you we're behind by 5 homes in this certain community. So you might have sent a cash flow to the leader to say, hey, we actually don't need to pull cash or anything from our cap table, or we don't need to go to the banks right now. 5 homes can change that story, that conversation. Okay, so Hopewell is one of our customers, and they manage hundreds of active units, but accurate forecasts took days of manual effort. So with OpenPredict, they moved to dynamic real-time forecasts. So that's the first thing, which, by the way, CFOs, financial leaders listening, yes, I get it, guys, girls, I hear you. You've got a team behind you that probably produce very, very close to real-time forecasts. All I'm saying is, wouldn't it be nice if they could be doing something better with their time, right? So this automates that for a very reasonable endeavor. But also we give you what-if simulations. This is a big piece of the puzzle for financial leaders that they struggle to do themselves because you need to be able to tie in your sales forecast, John, which is often static, price, which is often static, operations, how quickly our slowest soldier is moving, which is disconnected over here. It's very hard for them to look at everything. What this is doing, though, is it's tapping into our sales forecast, our price response. It's tapping into all those different models, including your operations. So it's giving you a very real-time, non-biased view of how the business is actually performing, which is why you go to dynamic forecast, scenario simulation, and real-time capital clarity. So context for whoops, I forgot to update the top, ignore it. But this is financial forecasting here. So you imagine Hopewell, they're managing financial performance across hundreds of active units that they're trying to sell. Forecasts were accurate, but only after enormous manual effort. So leaving the team to be very reactive, and they adopted OpenHouse's AI-powered forecasting and scenario simulation. So what it meant really was they could reduce their unplanned losses by about 10 to 20%. They reduced, I'm talking days and days and days of office time. And then they were able to actually start being proactive. So now we meet them every month, and the conversation is much more about, based on the data you've sent to us in our recent cash flow, we'd like you to run these simulations to interpret what would happen if X, Y occurred. So once we understand the kind of scenario you want to run, we're also going to run a couple of other scenarios around that. So in the last monthly meeting I was at, what was amazing to hear was one of our senior data scientists was talking through, hey, these are the scenarios that you asked for. But when I saw the results, I decided to run these 4 other scenarios for you because I just wanted to see what would happen if X, Y, Z. And it's interesting. This was the best ideal outcome for your cash flow. So we're now giving you a very tangible, John, a very tangible ideal line as to where your cash flow should be moving, if you get me, similar to your sales forecast, but in a simulated environment. So then you can decide to make those changes accordingly. That's kind of it. This is more the summary of that operational, that financial forecasting. If you have real-time forecasting and you have the ability to simulate outcomes, you're kind of in the best position possible, especially in this tough market that we're in. We've done some math around how much it would cost the division president to have open house, and it's no more than 60, 70,000 a year. If you were to hire an analyst alone, you're looking at 95 to 100, right?
Yeah.
Easily. And that's just an analyst. Like, to build out what we're doing, you need a lot more than that. Now, we don't like to be cynical and talk about all the other resources you need. So that's why I only like to give an example of, what most people tell us they think of doing. is they think like maybe I could hire someone like an analyst to start digging into my data. That's what you're looking at. So we're already cheaper.
You're going to need a lot of tools to extract this information to analyze anyway, on top of their salary, right?
No, 100%. Now, I always, like I say, I like to remove that because I just want to speak to, because the truth is I might say that and people will brush it off. I do think in the times we're in right now, it's important that if you can choose to have almost like, for example, excluding financial forecasting, imagine for the price of like 50,000, US, you had sales forecasting, price response, and simulation around price response. Like that's very powerful position to put yourself in as a home builder in these difficult or interesting projects.
And what's the time and effort component for the builder?
To onboard our sales forecast, like we have all this running now, it's about 5 weeks. And what we need from them, like I said, is just either a data dump of their CRM or just, API access to their CRM, API access to Google, which essentially you just add us as a Google user, editor user, and then your historical sales. You can do that in a week. John, you could do that in 2-3 business working days. I think the fastest we've ever had someone kind of deliver that info was we had a meeting at 9 a.m. in the morning. I think by 5 o'clock that night, we'd gotten everything, right? Then it takes us a couple of weeks to actually take our model, which we copy the model. So it's really important. Every home builder has their own OpenHouse AI. That means that your data is protected, it's confidential to that instance. It's your own AI. If you decide to cancel, stop working with us, we delete that instance. And, essentially with that goes your AI. Now, we don't take your data, we only read your data, but it's just important for home builders out there to know how secure it is. But you're looking at 5 weeks for sales forecasting. For price response,
just to get it set up, but it's not 5 weeks worth of effort. It's some effort.
It's a day or two of effort from their side, and then we close the door, we go to work. When we're getting on a monthly call, they're telling us what they did the last, when we were last on a call, and we're getting on that call and we're looking at whether it impacted things positively or not. The answer is usually in the leading indicators. If the leading indicators that showed up before that were negative aren't there anymore, and you're getting positive indicators speaking to the work you've done, you're on the right track. A lot of our home builders are looking at these forecasts, not like thinking 3 months out, whether it will change the end of the forecast. They're looking on a weekly basis, John.
And as you get into the flow, you're working with an interdisciplinary team. You have executive management, you have marketing, you have operations all represented and, discussing this with you.
Yes. In the ideal scenario, you have executive leadership, you have your marketing leader, your sales leader. What's really important is that the marketing leader and the sales leader get on board. You want them to see what's possible and believe what's possible, because it can impact them the most, and then follow through. It always impacts the executive leadership, of course. The best ones are when we are as a team with the builder, like the call we had yesterday, we're understanding where there's opportunity together. So it's more of a collaborative conversation, thinking, okay, great. I didn't realize this. I see now where that is. Here's where I'm thinking, David. Here's where I'm thinking, Jamie, our engagement manager, and also our VP of engineering. This is where I'm thinking of putting the focus. It's not only are they accepting the data and they're believing in the data, but they're now going out on their own bat and they're prescribing, this is my area of focus. So range, some can be shit, John, excuse my French. Some can be great, and some can just be very passive. People are humans. So at the end of the day, people just want to do what they're comfortable with. I've talked about this on probably a few podcasts. People love strategic planning. It doesn't make sense. A strategy is a hypothesis. You can't plan a hypothesis to work. You can only just put in place a series of actions that might prove the outcome true. But I can tell you that most of our home builders are very collaborative, which we're very lucky to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is magic when you can get a team aligned and you can get accountability for the action plan, shared across the board and people really committed to it. And that is magic that you're creating. And it's a good place for us to end. But do you have a slide for more information from you guys?
If I could end with this. Now is the time to make a forecast more real time. Now is the time to think about pricing being a real time initiative that you can challenge and that you can actually make decisions on. And after that, if you have price, if you have sales, if you have marketing aligned, you're in a fantastic position for whatever happens to this market in the coming 12 months. So I would say to people, think about it, because with us, you start with sales forecasting, but price response is the next thing we move on to. It takes 2 weeks for us to run an analysis on a community. And before you know it, you actually can make very exact clinical decisions on what to do with that specific community. And John, before we go, the last thing we're going to be launching soon, which is hush hush, but in the next couple of months, is we're going to take the leading indicators, because these are regional sales forecasts, but we're actually going to bring them down to the community. And we're going to start telling you down to the community what levers you can push and pull in sales and marketing. This is how you can contact me if you want to reach out, and I'll be at Builder Innovator, obviously.
And you'll be out at our summit, and we're looking forward to seeing you out there. And your contact information is here, and you're the guy that's going to start the conversation with folks. And you know a lot about what you're doing. You proved it on this call. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on a Builder Innovator webcast.